Hello Nippies, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, hi, hello, I'm Nips, a freelance artist, and today we're going to be working on Inktober. And if you're not an artist or you just don't know what that is an event that happens yearly that artists partake in, where you basically draw a piece every single day of October in ink, preferably. But as the years have gone on, a lot of us have really just taken lots of liberties, and we've all basically collectively turned it into a sketch day, which is awesome because honestly, there shouldn't be that many rules. So if you just want to partake, it's just a good way to get your pen moving. So don't feel intimidated by the name Inktober. And even if you miss a couple days, a lot of us sometimes will just do catch-up days, or even if you don't do all the days, it's just a good way to get your pen moving. So I'm gonna be doing, hopefully, one every day of October. And so it doesn't overwhelm you guys, I'm gonna be clumping them up in 4 videos, and we're gonna be working in a Japanese orihon. It's one of these books that are folded into sections. This was a gift by my friend FF Sade, whose art you should also check out because she's amazing. If you're an Evangelion nerd, then you've already noticed that it is a Evangelion themed orihon. So I really like this. I've had it for quite some time, and I found this was a good excuse to use it. I've already kind of numbered the pages in the corners so I can get an idea of how much I'm gonna fill up, and so I don't mix up the pages on where I am. And so that's what we're gonna be doing today, and hopefully in the next couple videos, if I do actually go through with this and finish it. So if that's something that you wanna watch, go ahead and keep watching. I'll put all the links down below, the finished pieces, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start off with the first drawing, and I went ahead, since like I said, I numbered all the pages just to make sure I had enough space to do all the drawings, and so I knew more or less where everything was gonna go. I went ahead and at the last page after that, I made like a sketches page since I had pages left over after the 31 days of October. And so this is where I was intending on putting kind of like thumbnails and ideas for the pages as I started doing them. I thought it would be cool to have them in the same place. Normally I will do them if it's a sketchbook, I'll do them in the same sketchbook. Sometimes I'll do them on a scrap sheet of paper or in a completely different sketchbook. Since I had some space left over, I figured it'd be cool to have them in the same place. And I say that I intended, past tense, because as the days went on, some of them just kind of were very random and kind of just spawn of the moment, kind of whatever came to mind. So I didn't really need a thumbnail, it was just whatever happened in the moment. So the first drawing is Anya and Pinko. Like I said, all of the drawings are of characters from my original 18+ comic offsell, which the links I'll put down in the description below. And if you don't know my characters, I'll probably have a reference picture of the characters on screen for a bit next to each drawing, so you guys at least know more or less what they look like and who I'm drawing. One of the things that I really wanted to do with this Inktober is relax. For those of you that are artists and that have partaken in Inktober, you know that relaxing is not a thing that you do with Inktober. It's kind of become super refined and stressful, lots of pressure, because we've all kind of started putting our best into Inktober pieces, and so you almost feel kind of pressured to give it your all every single piece, every single day, which is a lot. Not only just giving it your all, but doing it every single day is very, very stressful, not just by itself, but, you know, balancing it with whatever other work it is that you have to do and any other, you know, just your mental health in general. And so Inktober has become kind of like exciting, but also a very scary time for some artists. And so I kind of wanted to do the complete opposite, because I'm one of those where I always take it too far. It becomes really stressful. Sometimes I can't keep up, but I get really excited. I always want to partake, but you know, where is the time? And I always take it too far. And so for this Inktober, I told myself that I would only just do doodles, and they wouldn't be my best work, and I would have to get used to that, and I wouldn't be able to touch it any more than I probably should in order to actually be able to finish it in a very stress-free and not time-consuming way. And so I told myself that I would not take longer than an hour for each piece. I actually did a lot of these in 30 minutes. So this first one
one was like 30 minutes, and some of them hover around 45 sometimes, depending on the style. This one is done with ballpoint pen, some grayscale Copics, and some pencil at the beginning to kind of get the sketch going, some color pencil. I'm a huge fan of things that look like series of drawings that look like they belong together. And so my intention was really to keep this style throughout the entirety of Inktober. And you'll see as the drawings go on and as the weeks go on, the style kind of just becomes anything I'm feeling that day, which I'm actually kind of grateful for. It feels more like a sketchbook than a series of pieces, if that makes any sense. They don't necessarily look like they belong together, other than the fact that they are physically connected through the panels. That is the same style in every drawing, and that they are kind of on the same page, basically, because it's an orihon, and it's just the same page, like folded into even sections. And so that is kind of how I was gonna get myself to just relax throughout this Inktober. I have only ever finished Inktober once, and those of you that have taken part in the event know that it's sometimes hard to keep up with it daily. So sometimes you'll forget a day or two and then just do them all in one day, and then, you know, kind of like do catch-up days, which happened a lot for this Inktober so far. I'm filming this as we have a couple days left, so it's already happened several times. And to be quite honest, I'm kind of thankful, because those days have turned into like themed days where the days look the same, like they'll use the same colors and the same, like, you know. So if you go through all of my Inktober pieces for this month, you can already tell the days that I did together. It's been really cool to see the evolution of the style and the flow and everything of this month. This next drawing is going to be Yosef. I really wanted to draw kind of like his back scars. He never really has them showing on purpose. And I wanted to mess around with the gray scales and the ballpoint pen. Something that I was doing at the beginning was I was going straight from color pencil to pen. And here you see that I kind of like break the rule a little bit, and I try not to go too far, so I stay in the color pencil realm. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, usually I'll go from color pencil to pen, but in order to keep these fast, I was trying to just stick to color pencil straight to pen. And because of that, his face did not come out the way I wanted to. It was me trying to wing kind of like some of the lines that I couldn't see in the color pencil, and it just didn't come out right, which kind of tilted me and upsetted me, because the first drawing of Inktober I really liked, even though I messed up her eye a little bit and a lot of it is very messy. It is very doodly and intentional, but this one just felt like I really messed up his face, and the back anatomy is a little bit strange. And so I was already kind of like sad. I was like, oh man, did I already day 2? Inktober is ruined. Oh my god, I'm gonna let everybody down. I'm already letting myself down. Just awful. And then when I put this Copic on top of the ballpoint pen, it like drags blue, even though you use black. And so I was already kind of tilted at how everything looked. And so this one is not my favorite of my Inktober drawings, but I know that if I went on my iPad or something and fixed it up digitally and like painted it, I think it would be really nice. I tried to keep in mind that these are supposed to be very, very fast, very loose, and just fun. And you'll see that some of the drawings get more refined later, but they still do not take me more than an hour. At most an hour. None of them take me more than that. So I'm really, really proud of that I've been able to stick to my time limit. And the days that I go over, surprisingly, where I forget to do a day or I can't do a day, at most right now I've accumulated 3. So I'll do 3 in one day. And at most I'll spend 1.5 to 2 hours. So each piece is taking me less than an hour. So I've been really, really proud of my time management for this challenge. I think that's something that I really have to get used to. And it's not even something that's one and done and it works. It's something that you have to constantly work at, to remind yourself that you don't always have to put out your best and to just enjoy the process. Here, our next drawing is Pim and Effie. And I wanted to do kind of like a vintage photograph, like a black and white with like the high contrast and the black deep shadows. And one of the things that I start introducing in this one is more than one Copic shade. So the first 2, I used the same Copic shade, which was my intention going forward, and using the deleter white paint just if I needed to make any corrections or any highlights. In this one, I really wanted this to be loose, and so when I had the idea to do it, instead of like containing myself, I decided to say that if I wanted to do it, that I would do it. As long as it was within the time limit, that I would do it. And so I really had an urge to include different shades of gray, and I just decided to do it. This one was another one that was like not my absolute favorite, but I really enjoyed the process of saying fuck it and doing it anyway. I think that kind of mindset really evolved and solidified throughout this Inktober, where you won't see it in the first week because that's not where I start deviating, but in week 2, which you should stay tuned for that. And if you're not patient enough for that, you can go onto my Twitter and you guys can see all the weeks and the drawings there. But week 2 is really where I start kind of doing my own thing and just like changing up the colors, whatever I feel like that day, the ink, you know, everything just goes to my mood. And I think that's really made me enjoy Inktober to the fullest. It's something that I've forgotten how to do. I think I talked about it on Twitter recently, where I said that I've basically forgotten almost how to just mindlessly like draw for the sake of the process, just like whatever comes out, whatever I'm feeling, kind of like improvise, because I feel like there's so much pressure to make everything perfect and for there to be a process, because eyes are on you, you know, and you gotta fulfill expectations and everything. And so you almost kind of stop letting your mind do whatever it feels like doing, and you start trying to control everything. It makes everything kind of stressful, too much pressure, you know. And so throughout the course of this Inktober, I've really tried to channel if I feel like doing it, why not? And if it's not my best work and it doesn't come out as planned, then who cares? Like, the whole point was that I tried it and that I did it, and that was something that I wanted to try in the moment, and why not do it? You know, why stop myself from doing it? Week 1, everything is still pretty much following the same black and white Inktober theme that I had since the beginning of the drawing, since the first drawing, where it's like, you know, ballpoint pen, grayscale Copics, you know, for the most part, because this day 3 here is where I kind of start breaking the rules, my own set rules a little bit, but where I say I just want to do this. Like, why can't I do this? Even if it does break the quote unquote rule that I set for my Inktober as far as like aesthetics go, I'm like, are aesthetics more important than me enjoying myself? Why do I have to follow this aesthetic guideline? Like, who's making me do this? Nobody. Other than the time, which is like a more reasonable like rule to set for myself. That one I will not break for my own sake. But the coloring, why do I have to continue with that aesthetic? Why can't I just like do what I want? And so I decided to just let myself go, and ever since then it's just been super fun to come up with new colors and themes and, you know, styles, even just breaking the style and doing, you know, whatever comes to me that day. I think that's been a big thing this Inktober, and hopefully it goes well. It's been going well. We've only got a couple days left at the time that I'm recording this. I'm really excited about potentially doing something similar for next year's Inktober. I'm also thinking about printing it in the same style that the original book is in, so that way you'll be able to open it and see how it looks, just like, you know, just like the original. I'll definitely have to get back to you guys on that one if I can find a publisher that will kind of replicate the style of the sketchbook. So this next one here is Alvin and Diego. I pair them a lot. I draw them together a lot. And they're supposed to be lying down, just like relaxing and chilling. And I really wanted to do something kind of cute, wholesome, very loose. For this one, I wanted to go back slightly to the original where I didn't do too much variation on the Copic markers. I felt like with the last one, I had deviated a little bit too much with the variety of things going on in the picture. And so my intent with this one was just to keep it a little bit more simple, maybe. I was struggling a little bit with the angle, but I tried to continue reminding myself that this was just supposed to be a sketch, that I didn't have to refine every single detail, that if it was messy, maybe inaccurate, or any of that, that it wouldn't matter, that as long as I got the general shape down, it would be okay. And so I kept telling myself throughout this entire drawing, because the foreshortening is definitely not my best work. The muscles and some parts of the face and the head on Diego's side are just not very well rendered and well like shown. I don't know, I think it's just fairly obvious that it's a doodle and that it's done very quick. My hope is that it's just conveyed, that it's supposed to be quick and a doodle and not like refined work, because that's where I start getting in my head, where I feel so pressured by what people might think that I feel like I have to refine it in order for people to know that like I know how to do it. Like I can't leave it like a scribble, because then people will think that this is my greatest power, my highest, like I have to refine everything. And so I get too scared to leave things messy and to just leave it up to the interpretation of the viewer, or to just leave things messy, and even if they're inaccurate, that it's okay to leave them like that. Like, you don't have to correct it. You can just leave it like that, and it doesn't have to be right because it's just a doodle. That part is like something I have to repeat to myself over and over. It's like coping, like I'm coping as I'm drawing. So, but I think it's a good reminder to, like, it loosens you up. It makes you just be like, you know what, happy accident. The literal Bob Ross, just happy accident. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Just keep going, or find a way to make it work. Because sometimes you make like a bad line, quote unquote bad line, whatever that means, you know, and then you kind of find a way to make it work, or you kind of try and fix it, and maybe in trying to fix it, it ends up worse, you know, and then you got to roll with that. So I don't know. I don't think that Inktober has to be all that stressful. So for this next drawing, I did what I said I would do. I relaxed. And so I thought about potentially using some picture reference. And I went ahead and I wanted to draw Jet. And Jet is a character who she's very goofy, and she's kind of like loud, and just she's a fun character. But she is also supposed to be like very unreal, like beautiful. Like, she's supposed to be very, very beautiful. And so she smokes weed and cigarettes. She smokes she smokes it all. And I found this reference picture of Adriana Lima, who is very beautiful, as we all know. I really wanted to play with, you know, the blacks. I tried to find a black and white picture, like play with the very like heavy black, like solid black shadows, and just really focus on her face. So you'll see some of the reference that I used from Adriana's like face shape into Jet's. I tried to translate it obviously into what Jet would look like, and not, because I'm not drawing Adriana Lima, I'm drawing my character Jet. And so I tried my best to kind of use the reference as that, a reference and a guide, as opposed to like me drawing Adriana Lima herself. So I tried to make things a little bit more, you know, like artsy by putting the smoke and translate it into this Inktober style that I've made with the panels, by putting the smoke on the outside and kind of just loosening up the drawing a bit as well. I had to make her hair a little bit longer too, since Jet's hair is decently long. I hadn't done this yet. I only used this dark of black shadow with the Pim and the Effie drawing, and I kind of started like branching out. I feel like you'll see my mind subconsciously wanting to do more than just the same gray Copic with the same ballpoint pen and the same color pencil. I'm like, oh, different shades of gray, 50 shades of gray. Oh, okay, like maybe we'll do some black. Oh, maybe we'll do this. My mind, you can tell, really wants to just do whatever it wants to do and not just those three things. I think some give and take is fun. I think there are some really healthy limits that will increase your, not potential, but your capabilities. So you kind of have to know where to give and take. And in my opinion, I think the time for me is where I don't give. I cannot spend more than an hour on each drawing, and that is final, because that is my biggest problem, is that I take it too far and then I don't stop. But as far as materials go, I think if I crunch the time, I don't have to crunch the materials too much. If I crunch the materials, then maybe I don't want to crunch the time. For example, when I did the sketchbook slam challenge, which if you don't know what that is, I'll go ahead and put it in the top right corner if you guys want to check that out. Very fun. Never finished it, but I want to at some point. I had crunched time and materials, but the reason that I crunched the materials was also because of the time, because I couldn't spend more than 10 minutes on one whole sketchbook page. And I was like, if I have more materials than this, I will physically not be able to finish. And so I had to bring down my materials to literally just a pencil or just a pen and just a marker. No more, no eraser, nothing. So constraints really work depending on what it is that you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to learn or challenge yourself in. I think for me here, time is one of my biggest issues. The next one is going to be Rada. She is from Nigeria, and I absolutely love the geles. They're so pretty. They're so fucking pretty. I'm not very good at concept art, so I really wanted to draw her in like traditional like wear all over, but I knew that if I like started like making patterns and all of that stuff, like I would get caught up and then lose time. And so I decided to just do the basic shapes, and I really love this drawing. I think this is one of the drawings that I want to go back into the iPad and paint over with some beautiful like vibrant colors. I think that if I had done this in week 2 or week 3, it would have been a colorful piece. But because I was still trying to constrain myself to black and white, this ended up kind of looking not as exciting as it could have if I had actually used some colors. And so that makes me kind of sad, but the drawing will exist forever. And so there will always be time for me to go back and add some color, paint it digitally, and maybe print it or something. So I really like this piece a lot. I think one of the things that I wanted to really learn how to do is create like up close and personal, more like tangible portraits and drawings. I don't think I necessarily did it with this one, but I remember when I was drawing it in my head, I really wanted to capture that like you're in the picture drawing. It's kind of what I wanted to do with the jet one that I did before this one. I'm learning. I'm really learning, but I still haven't been able to capture how I see it in my head. This one, I remember seeing it a different way in my head, and I'm pretty sad that I wasn't able to capture what I want. But in general, I was still really, really happy with how this came out. I was pretty happy with the pens, but I was worried that the bleeding of the ballpoint pen was gonna make it look super, super messy, which is kind of what happened on her face. And I'm pretty sad about that because everything below her eyes got really, really like the pen bled so much. Other than that, it looked really, really pretty. I absolutely love the gele poking out at the top through the frame. I really wish I had done some patterns for this. I think I was too scared to branch out from what I actually wanted to do. And you'll see here that I start getting kind of carried away with like the pen shadows because I knew something was missing. Like I didn't want to do patterns and ruin it, and I should have just let go and done them. I went a little too far with the shading, and so you'll see me going in with the deleter paint to like fix the horrible lines that I did that kind of threw off the whole shape. This paint is like very, very strong. So those of you that don't know what it is, deleter, the white paint, is used for like mangakas who do their pages traditionally. It's kind of like whiteout. It's not kind of like white, it is whiteout, and it's super, super strong, like very strong. It is strong enough that it pretty much paints over everything on the first go. So instead of using the white Faber-Castell marker that I used to use, I use that now, and I carry around like a little brush in order to use it, and it's pretty handy. The next and final drawing for this week is the Saskia one. So this drawing is my least favorite of the entire Inktober. I haven't finished Inktober, but I'm almost certain this is going to be my least favorite of the whole like month. This one was too ambitious. So Saskia is a character who, let's say she's paranoid. She is incredibly paranoid, and I wanted to draw this kind of like fisheye surveillance camera POV, and I wanted the camera to be breaking. So you'll see like these cracked pieces like outside of the frame, and I wanted her hands to be reaching outside of them. Not only did I have to draw all of that, but I had to do it in fisheye, which I know how to make, like I know how to do the fisheye grid in order to like get a proper fisheye perspective. Not only did I have to do that, but I had to put a person in there, and then I had to break the perspective in order to get kind of the vibe that I wanted, because I wanted it to be in fisheye, but I also wanted her hand to be like coming out of the fisheye, because the fisheye was supposed to be the camera. As I was sketching this, part of me was like, just don't do it. Just erase it. Do something simpler. Like, don't even bother. This is gonna be so bad if you commit to it. And it got to a point that I was erasing so much that the paper was already like, you know how your paper gets when you erase too much? Like, it lifts off, and like it gets to a point that you basically can't even erase it anymore. The paper was telling me like, bitch, just commit. Like, you have to do this now. I was like, well, I guess I have to. And so I started just laying down the inks, and I tried not to think about it too much. I was like, just keep going, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And as I was doing the lines, I actually quite enjoyed the line art a lot. But my next problem with this was the values. The values that I chose for this ended up, I think, ruining the whole drawing. So I had really, really dark, contrasty, like pitch black shadows on her face. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to be really intense so that her eyes like pop out next to the dark black shadows. I started putting those dark black shadows everywhere else, and then I put the pitch black, the actual pitch black, outside of the camera. And so then you'll notice now that the shadows on her face are no longer that intense. And so I started to kind of panic because I was like, okay, this doesn't look super bad, but it looks kind of like the values, I just threw them off by putting that pitch black on the outside. And so you'll notice that I start to like try and make it like a little bit darker without going full like Copic black on her face. I'm like, it's fine, I can fix this, it's fine, everything's fine, just keep going. And then I start just like putting this like black shadow everywhere, and I put the gray Copic on top to make it darker. And that's where everything goes out the window, because you see the blue bleeding through, because I added so much ballpoint to this that it's now like blue, and it just looks so bad. And then I tried to do the camera like filter on the side with the Copic. That ruined it too. And now you see me just adding more lines trying to fix it, and I just could not fix it. This ended up just being one of those that was kind of like a really ambitious experiment and just did not work out in the end. I am not happy with this one at all, and the only thing I'm happy about is that I stuck to it and I did it, but the result is not at all what I wanted. So I'm glad that I tried, and I didn't really succeed to my expectations, but I'm glad that I actually did it anyway. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this video wasn't too long. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, join the Nippy family. The more the merrier. And of course I will put all the links of all the drawings and the videos in the description down below, and I'll also put the links of my 18+ comic below if you guys want to read it and check it out. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you guys next video. Bye.